So the V70, keeping me busy as usual, developed rather a large fuel leak, and as you can see underneath the car, it was quite substantial, spreading across the full underbody of the car. I had initially thought that it was the injectors. As you'll see, my injectors had been leaking for quite some time, but not considerably, and despite the look of these, I did initially think that the injectors were the cause of the issue and that the fuel was leaking over the back of the block and down. The fuel leak was getting worse, and the injectors, reseating the injectors didn't do anything. So here you can see I've took the ender tray off, and what we've got are the fuel supply and return running over the drive shaft very close to the block. Now, I had recently replaced the steering rack, and it is possible that I've interrupted these pipes. As you can see, it is far too substantial a leak to ignore. Any leak of diesel is dangerous and a failure on the MOT, which was due at the time. So you can see here something has been rubbing on the drive shaft, and it's impossible to get a view. It was just as hard for me to see as it is for the camera, but the fuel return, rather fortunately, not the fuel supply, was rubbing on the drive shaft to a point where it had actually worn through, and this is why it started as a small leak which developed further and further. So this is the root of the fuel supply and return, as my initial response was, well, I'll change the full pipe, but it is a single piece pipe all the way from above the drive shaft all the way to the front of the block, up the block, and nearing the high pressure fuel pump, which would require too many components to remove. So I needed to find a way to repair this pipe without removing it and without really having much access to it. So I had to go through the driver's wheel arch, remove the wheel, and you can just about see where the pipe was touching the drive shaft. Somehow, and very luckily, not the supply pipe, but just the return pipe, which I must have interrupted them when replacing the steering rack, although I've done lots of jobs on this car. And if you look now, you can really see the damage where the drive shaft has worn into the pipe. So I decided that the only thing I could do was cut the pipe and try to fit a new section of rubber hose. But the issue with that was there was no way to get the lower part of the pipe cut. So what I decided to do was sleeve the full length of the pipe and rejoin it higher up. I've no idea how long the repair will last, but it gives me some time to think of how to fix it better, and obviously got it through the MOT and allows me to carry on using the car far and wide across the country.